You don't want to be rich. You want to be seen. You want to be desired, admired, envied. For many, money isn't the goal. It's the disguise. The golden fantasy we wear to hide a much deeper fear. The fear of not mattering, of going unnoticed, of being just another face in the crowd. The obsession with wealth doesn't come from ambition, but from emptiness. It's the silent cry of someone who, deep down, just wants to be loved, but believes they'll only be worthy of love when they have something shiny enough to draw attention. We live in an age where being seen is almost as important as being alive. The image we project often matters more than who we truly are. And that's where money comes in, not as a tool, but as a symbol, a shortcut to seeming relevant, interesting, worthy of attention. Society has taught us that to have value is to have things, and the rarer, pricier, and shinier, the better. The modern obsession with wealth isn't just economic, it's emotional. A desperate search for meaning in a world that turns appearance into identity. The problem is that deep down, we don't want money itself. We want what we believe it can give us: status, respect, admiration. We want to walk into a restaurant and feel eyes on us, to post a photo and get likes, to buy a car and watch heads turn. We confuse wealth with validation, as if a bank account could shield us from rejection or insignificance. The need to be accepted runs so deep that we wear money like armor, believing that if we look victorious on the outside, maybe we can silence the emptiness within. From an early age, we're conditioned to tie personal worth to material accumulation. The boy with the most expensive sneakers, the girl with the latest phone, the adult with the luxury watch, or the house with a pool. This isn't just vanity, it's an attempt to belong. We want to be part of something, to be seen, not for who we are, but for what we have. Because for many, being loved as they are feels impossible. So they seek admiration for what they've managed to achieve. And social media amplifies this. It has turned comparison into a habit and consumption into a language. The feed became a battlefield where those who appear to be winning come out on top, and money became the ultimate marker of success. It doesn't matter if you're at peace. What matters is if you look like you're on top. The appearance of wealth became a product in itself, sold in installments, financed over years, shared in 15-second clips. If you don't show it off, it's as if you don't exist. This system creates a silent trap. The more we chase money to be seen, the more dependent we become on others' approval. And the problem with approval is that it's never enough. Today, you impress with a car. Tomorrow, you'll need a house, then a private jet. The bar keeps moving. And with it, the feeling of never being enough, never attractive enough, never interesting enough, never rich enough. The desire for money then turns into an emotional addiction. We're no longer chasing comfort or security, we're chasing attention. The dopamine hit of being noticed, the fleeting thrill of seeming important, even for a moment. It's a cycle that fuels anxiety, constant comparison, and the fear of being left behind. Because when your sense of worth depends on the appearance of success, every slip feels like public failure. And keeping up that image becomes exhausting. In the end, money becomes a distorted mirror. We look into it hoping to see our importance reflected. But the more we stare, the less we recognize ourselves. Because what we're truly longing for, love, belonging, peace, can't be bought. And maybe, deep down, most of us already know that. But pretending not to know feels easier than facing the emptiness we've been trying to cover with numbers. Money by itself is just paper, numbers, a symbol. But what we project onto it is immense. It becomes a mirror of our deepest desire to be seen, loved, recognized. Instead of seeking those truly human experiences, genuine affection, real acceptance, the peace of being who we are, we get distracted by the shine of the coin. Because money offers an edited version of reality, one where we don't have to expose ourselves, only consume. one where we don't need to be vulnerable, only successful. But that's exactly where the paradox lies. The more we place our identity in what we own, the further we drift from who we are. Material wealth begins to take up the space once held by self-awareness, inner freedom, and the simplicity of sincere relationships. We start measuring our existence by external standards, as if the meaning of life could be accumulated in bank statements. And we overlook an uncomfortable truth. Nothing essential can be bought. When we chase money to fill an existential void, we're not really after bills, we're after healing. Healing from the feeling of not being enough, from the fear of being forgotten, from the anguish of a life without purpose. But no amount can fill a hole born from disconnection with ourselves. Perhaps that's why so many rich people feel so poor inside, because in the end, true wealth was never in the things, but in the silence we can inhabit without needing to prove anything to anyone. Have you ever noticed how we feel different when wearing new clothes, stepping into a nice car, or simply posting a photo in a status location? It's almost as if, for a moment, we become someone more valuable. Not because we've changed on the inside, but because we believe others will see us differently. It's the kind of fleeting pleasure many of us experience without realizing it, a form of validation that comes from the outside and lasts only until the next comparison. Because as soon as someone shows up with something better, our sense of worth crumbles. Maybe you know someone who lives in debt trying to maintain an appearance. The trip paid in installments, the financed phone, the rented outfit to impress at an event. It's not about luxury, it's about acceptance. It's about the fear of seeming small, of going unnoticed, of being judged as less than. The pain of invisibility, in many cases, disguises itself as ambition. But what lies behind it is a deeper wound. The belief that without external symbols of success, we're not worthy of respect or affection. Even in simple conversations, we notice how money has become a social yardstick. How many times is an opinion only heard when it comes from someone wealthy? How many doors open for those who have possessions, even if they lack wisdom? We see it in meetings, in job interviews, on social media. The logic is clear. If you have, you are. And if you don't, stay silent. This is the daily reality that subtly pushes us to pursue money not to live better, but to prove we deserve to exist out loud. In the end, the relentless pursuit of money isn't really about wealth. It's about meaning. Most people don't want to be rich to live in peace, but to be seen as someone who matters. As if money were the only language capable of translating our worth to the world. But when we place external validation at the center of our existence, we become prisoners of an illusion, the belief that we'll only be loved once we look successful enough. The truth is, no bank balance can heal the emptiness that comes from being disconnected from who we truly are. And as long as we keep trying to buy with currency what can only be built with presence, vulnerability, and authenticity, we'll remain hungry. Because what we're really seeking isn't luxury, it's belonging. And real belonging begins when we stop trying to impress and start simply allowing ourselves to be. If this video sparked any reflection in you, if at any point you saw yourself in these words, subscribe to the channel. Here, the conversation is less about how to get rich and more about why you want it so badly. Because maybe, just maybe, true financial freedom begins when you realize your worth was never tied to money.